Last night I put a first ride on a 3-year-old filly. Stick around, I'll show you everything we got done in her very first ride. Welcome back to Becky Emil Horse Training, and this is a 3-year-old filly named Harlan's Silver Sabre. She's owned by HM Quarter Horses of Scenic, South Dakota. Now, I apologize, I've been trying to get you guys these first ride videos, but the pivot tends to freak out when there's more than the horse and myself in the frame, and it's losing us when JD is in the frame trying to help us on a first ride. So in this case, he was able to hold the camera and video us and still help this filly with a little bit of motivation as we went around the arena, and he was a little bit of a security blanket to her. So I've already obviously done all the mounting and dismounting. I've already practiced emergency stop at a walk, and now we're doing it at a trot. And this filly just moves like glass. Boy, you just can't even feel her trot at all. She is so smooth. And when I get ready to do the emergency stop, I put my reins in my right hand, and I'm going to take my hand up her neck and bend her head to the inside and then down regulate her. Now, if I can do this effectively in the round pen, I got a pretty good chance when I ride in the arena or if I ride out in the pasture that I'll be able to down regulate this filly in the event she spooks, gets scared, or, generally has a come apart. So I try really hard to install this into every single horse that I ride. This particular technique right here, it's the emergency stop. And, some guys will call it a one rein stop. A lot of guys will just muscle the head around. Well, I'm not strong enough to muscle the head around on anything. So I put a cue with it. I teach it from day one. I bend them around, get them soft and relaxed, and then change directions. If you guys have been following for a while, I'm really big about changing directions. It changes the momentum. They learn faster. They learn the footwork faster. The faster I can make them go, the more I change directions with them, the faster they learn, the better their timing becomes. And so again here, I'm going to put my reins into my left hand, and I'm going to run my hands up her neck. I'm going to tip my weight forward. When I tip my weight forward on her forehand, that's going to throw her a touch off balance, and she's going to want to slow down. That's part of this technique, and she's already coming to a stop and looking for it a whole lot better. I take away the forward momentum by bending her head. I make sure I pet and rub all over her. She sees me up there. I rub on her hind end, make sure she feels that. I want this filly to know that she's been rode, okay? It's really important to me. I want her to have this experience and know that it was an experience. I don't want to sneak around up here. So I'm asking her to lope off here, and you can see JD's whip come in, and she kind of grabs her butt a little bit, and she crossfires. I'm not going to jerk her back down. I'm just going to put her in another emergency stop and bend her around. So see the crossfire here? Wanted to zoom in on that for you. She picks up the rog lead behind, and I just slowly bring her down and bend her around and get her quiet and down regulate her. There's no jerking her down. There's no snatching at her face. I just bring her back down to a walk, settle her down, bring her back down to that stopping position, pet and rub on her head. I don't want to snatch on her because she's just loped off from me. I was asking for the lope. The fact that she picked up the wrong lead behind isn't necessarily her fault. She was a little nervous and scared of it, and now we're just going to keep on doing it until she gets really comfortable and accepting of my weight up there and me moving around up there, and we're going to do it both directions several times before we're through today. So I ask her for the lope this direction. Again, JD is handling the phone and the whip at the same time, trying to help me keep going. And I bend her around, and I don't have to go multiple laps around this round pen. If I get half the length of the round pen at a lope on the correct lead, I'm really good with that on a first ride because I'm going to ask multiple times, okay? And when I take the hand and I bend her head like I am, I take that hand to my thigh. It's a stable position that I know I can hold that rein tight, and I lean back and I kind of leverage a little bit, as much strength as I can when I bend them around. Now watch this direction. as we lope off this direction, it's going to go a whole lot smoother now that we've loped off a couple of times, and she's going to get the correct lead this time. Now she's a little bit more confident, a little more comfortable, understands what we're asking for. I'm going to go ahead and ask her to lope again this direction. I try to sit way back on my right pocket, put my right leg into her and support her the best I can, staying out of her space. And you see me when I go forward and tip my weight forward and go up her neck, then that puts that weight on that front end, and she starts to, her balance changes, and that helps her and allows her to come to a stop that much easier. Again, bend the head around, take away the forward motion, reach back, pet the hip, allow her to walk off quietly. And this is game over right here. This is allowing her to be really quiet, as long and loose of a rein as possible. So we're going to do it again here. We're going to ask her to lope off again to the right. So now I'm going to prepare her to take off to the right, and I'm sitting back on that left pocket. I'm trying to sit back as much as I can. I'm tipping her nose slightly to the left. JD's helping me with the whip out there that you can't see as I'm kissing to her and asking her to lope off, going for as long as we possibly can. And then I bring her down and bend her into a nice emergency stop. Look at how quiet this filly wants to be, letting me pet and rub her all over. She understands and accepts that this is a comfortable place here. And now I'm just going to let her walk off again and play game over. Let her relax a little bit. Try to go as long and loose of a rein as possible. This is how you teach a horse to get quiet after you've worked them up. So we've asked for some speed. We've made sure she was comfortable with that speed, and now we're asking her to get quiet and come down. So we keep on changing the level of intensity here. We change the level of intensity, we change the direction, we bring her down to a stop, we speed her up. Look at how many different things that this filly, all of these skills that this filly can now do in her very first ride, you guys. She's gained so much more than just somebody sitting up there in a halter and holding on to a lead rope and following a pack of other horses tracking around in a big pen. We've added skills to this filly's repertoire. Now, what I'm working on right now is turn on the forehand. And if you guys have not seen my turn on the forehand videos, I'll try to remember to link them in the description box. This is how I get it done when I'm by myself. If JD were able to help me, instead of video me, he'd be in there, but I'm going to take my inside rein, try to stabilize the right shoulder, and take my right leg to kick that hip over. I use the rail as a crutch. This rail here is a huge help as I walk her around. It helps me take away the forward momentum, right? Takes away forward motion. And then I'm gonna kick that hip over. It is so important to me to have this hip control on the very first ride because it is the absolute basis for every maneuver that we do, having hip control. So I get it over, I get this nice movement. Now, if you'll notice, I never allow the filly to go back the opposite direction. I don't let her go to the right. I'm still going to turn her and go back to the left. The reason why is because down the road, anytime that we roll into that rail, we want them to set up the hind end, and we want them to work off the hind end. What we just did is a turn on the forehand. We don't want to teach them to stop on the forehand, swing the hip around, and take off the other direction, okay? Right now, we're just using this to teach the turn on the forehand. We're not trying to teach her a roll away, a roll back, or any sort of roll into the fence, okay? That'll come in the next ride. So this way she's a little bit stickier. She doesn't give her hip over nearly as easy this direction. I'm going to need a little bit help here with one of these upcoming ones, but that's okay. You know, they all have a strong side. They all have a weaker side, and this side is she's just not as responsive on this side. And of course, she's getting pretty tired too. I mean, we've done a lot with her, and you know, I'm trying not to pick at her too much, and when they learn it is in the release. So push her over, a release. And then I didn't feel like I got a good enough move over, and so I started spanking her here with my stick on the end of my rein. And she couldn't quite figure out, she wasn't sure what the answer was. She was like, I thought I did it. And I guess looking back now at my video, I can see that she did do it, but what I was feeling at the time was that she didn't do it. So you can see JD walks in and he's helping her get moving again. We got to get those feet moving. Feet have to move in order to teach them anything. So I'm going to ask her for it again. Elevate that inside rein and kick that hip over. Now look at how much I pet and rub on her. I loosen up the reins and I leave her alone. And I'm asking her to walk off again. I spank her with my stick just a little bit. I kick with my leg a little bit. JD moves in just a little bit to help her with the forward momentum. And she walks off. That's what your ground person is there for. Just as a little bit of a crutch in case they get into a bind and they need a little bit of help, okay? Now, we're going to finish up the ride with a dismount at the block here or at the lick tub, and she's not scared of it at all because she was mounted and dismounted from it, and I'm able to get her up to it and step off of her, which I was super, super excited about. This filly's going to look for a place for me to dismount in the future, which is going to be kind of cool. She'll always associate that with somebody either dismounting or mounting her, and she's learned the lesson the very first time I've done it with her. The filly stands really still for me to dismount. I make sure I stomp in both stirrups before I step down. Lots of pets and rubs. Lots of telling her thank you. I appreciate the ride. And I sure appreciate you guys watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And I really thank you for having patience with me as I get these videos out. Have a great day.